when you run a project, what are the creative ideas that have come out, and then how many creative ideas has really got converted into innovation, and then what kind of dollar impact that has had an organization in terms of saving cost for a project, to a transformation, a technology transformation project. What can we really save for the organization? But in the simpler terms, when you look at an organization as a manager, how many innovative ideas that have emerged in your team, if you're a team of manager? How much of investment that has gone into supporting innovation? How many ideas have actually become tangible projects, and so on? So these are some examples which are top of my thoughts, and then we can go and keep adding to this list.
Okay, so Nisha's question was, you spoke about the paradigm change in HR practices and placing people as key. My question is, there are still organizations who do not be following this practice, but have their bottom and top line met. Your view on it. So I think it's about the culture and the organization that you want to build and the culture of the organization you want to be a part of. I think when companies put their people first, I think the top line and the bottom line achieves itself in a very significant way, because you have committed people who are excited about actually working for your organization and making it a better place. That being said, there are companies who maybe don't have such great practices, or maybe they haven't yet achieved that level of paradigm shift. And I actually think that the short term, that top line and bottom line stuff, that would then become a short term game only. It would not be sustainable in the long run. Because at the end of the day, there's plenty of amazing choices out there, and people have very good choices of where they want to work, how they want to work, where they want to contribute. And if they're not excited about where they want to be, and if they don't believe in a mission or a plan that's bigger than themselves, or if they don't feel like contributing every day, that attrition number will start going up. And then when you start losing good people, the good people who are left want to follow them. And things like that start happening over time. It may not be immediately apparent, but over time it will happen. So I don't believe there's very many companies left in the world that don't actually focus on their people anymore. I think those that don't are slowly changing their mind. But they're recognizing that it's a pretty tough market out there to find the amazing talent that they want to look for. And they're if they don't do that, if they don't put those employees top of mind, they're not likely to succeed in the long run. They will fizzle out. There's no two ways about it. Hey, Ramesh. So, how do you allocate costing for 200% of employee time for innovation? I think I'll go back to the previous statement about how do you measure ROI over a good or a church or mosque or whatever it is. At the end of the day, I think this stuff pays itself back in spades. So I don't know that we worry about costing. I can assure you that in a day you're spending, if anyone tells you that you're working for 8 hours a day, they're probably not speaking the truth. Nobody can work for 8 hours straight. So if you were to add up all the time that you spend between working, thinking about your work, going and getting that cup of coffee, chatting with your friends, checking out Facebook or LinkedIn, or spending some time browsing, watching a quick little YouTube on something, by the time you add all that stuff up, it's way more than 20% of your time. So not worrying about that as much, but more about the outcome of what you actually do with the 20% of your time, which is what matters. We've had amazing ideas come out of those indies. People have gone on to discover new passions, they've gone on to build companies, they've transformed their careers, they've spent time working on community projects that really matter to them. And at the end of the day, the overall goodness of what they're spreading is transformative. They're spreading the wealth. It's like a ripple effect, And so that's really hard to measure, and it's not even worth measuring because the outcome is so amazing.
One is very close by to you called Indian Institute of Science. You must have heard about that organization. They just employ great people, and that makes organization big. I was just telling Lata that we do have fun all the time at IIM Bangalore. We have fun at the government. We have fun with the students. We have fun in the name of consulting with organizations. Life is meant to be, you should have fun. Otherwise you become numb.
Question for me from Manju Bhaduri. Thank you. What is actually this happiest mind? Good question. And how does it work? When we started this company 5 years back, when I went home and told my daughter, she was in BSc at the time, and then I'm leaving my work at Mindtree and starting this happiest mind along with Ashok. So she said, what's the name of the company again? I said, Happiest Minds. She asked me, is it a crash? Is it some childcare company? So we are a software services firm. We help our customers in their digital transformation journey. We work on disruptive technologies like cloud, mobility, unified communications, big data and analytics, social computing, Internet of Things. These are the technology areas that we work on. We help our customers in their, to help them give their customers a better customer experience, to run their businesses better, to build better platforms that their businesses can become efficient, to help the customers build their products which they can sell to their customers, and also run their businesses in a scalable, secure, predictable way, their infrastructure. So this is our business. We are a software services. Now, you ask me how does it work? It doesn't work. How people work. Company doesn't work. So my job is to help the people work, the people grow, they deliver what the customer wants. Thank you.
Your presentation of how workforce shall change, roles will, redundancy would increase, role-wise redundancy will increase. So is it indicating towards a global level management of workforce waste? Just like e-waste, etc. Who asked this question? Great question. Okay, so there are a few interesting things which are happening and going to happen. First thing, on one hand, you will find jobs which are not getting filled in, and you will see unemployment, people jobless. That's an interesting contradiction we will see. Another interesting contradiction that we will see is productivity is increasing in organizations. Organizations are becoming more productive, but the salaries are not increasing. Another thing that we will see, they will say economy is slowly booming, but the rate of increase is dipping. Okay? This is debatable. Some of my colleagues will challenge this and so on. But these are some of the predictions. We'll only wait and see what happens. Some of these have already started happening. So, when this change happens, will it lead to redundancy? Yes, in some cases, it's going to be painful for many people. There will be many people who will go through the painful process of losing their jobs. And they would realize that the jobs are going away, and they either don't have the capability or the expertise or the willingness to upskill themselves. And people who cannot really evolve and upskill themselves, they will definitely disappear. It will lead to some kind of redundancy. But organizations really don't have to, they will move out of the organization. There will be difficult moments, there will be difficult conversations, but these people will, give way and they'll move on. So, but who will survive, and then, what is the thing to do in a scenario like this? Great example is Amitabh Bachchan. While I think as Ranjan was saying that the movie industry is changing and the actors are changing and evolving, there's one guy who has evolved for the last half century or more than that. He just has been evolving and he survived and he is doing great, he's rocking. So people who can keep pace with the time, who can keep pace with the changing times, they will survive. But how organizations deal with such people, everybody is not Amitabh Bachchan. There are many actors, many movie stars who have just disappeared, who have not been able to keep pace with the time. So that's where the role of HR practitioners like us come into play. the role of aspiring business leaders and professionals like you come into play, where you will have to be the change agent and inspire them and enable them to change. You have to lift them up, to see things in a broader landscape than seeing things in a narrow silos or in an isolated manner. So that's where I think, so I don't see the need for a global workforce waste management, but I see the need for a more proactive approach by HR to prepare the workforce for tomorrow, which is dynamic and which is changing, which is uncertain, and we're living in a VUCA world as I said. Thank you.
Just to quickly and just to delay your lunch by a few minutes. That's my main intention. This is just an excuse. Listen, certain jobs will disappear, certain roles will disappear. Obviously. For example, in Bangalore, how many of you see any Tongas? He showed a horse carriage. They were there in 1950s, 1960s. I traveled by that when I came to Bangalore first. Right? Then after that, what happened? What is happening to auto drivers now in Bangalore? They are upgrading themselves either into a taxi driver. Right? This is bound to happen. If you really want to understand our struggle from 11:30 till now, think of a guy called Ram Gopal Verma. He is a lovely example of disruptive innovation. He uses technology. I don't know how many of you know this. He uses cameras that are smaller than a shirt button.